This season on Fear Thy Neighbor.
I really don't want to live anywhere else.
Fixing flats is my specialty.
Mighty kind of you.
The people there make it special.
Good on you, mate.
The kids got to know each other and start hanging out.
I was thinking that the relationship was unbreakable.
You think we're pieces of crap.
You said it, not me.
I told you to deal with this.
The only one he disliked was his neighbor.
Keep your stuff on your side.
Do it because I said so.
There was two sides to him. What are you hiding back there?
I don't think anyone expected things to escalate the way that they did.
Daddy!
Oh, you're a pathetic loser.
You had a hair trigger, temper.
Whole family's worthless. Stop! Let's settle this once and for all!
I guess it was an eye for an eye.
That's what you get!
Fear Thy Neighbor.
I really don't want to live anywhere else.
What up, Tyra? Admit it, you did this!
It tends to wear on you.
He's unhinged.
She was terrified.
I had it with you!
If you keep pushing someone,
Turn it down, coward!
eventually they might push back.
A harmonious community can feel heaven sent.
I really don't want to live anywhere else.
What up, Tyra?
How's the car running?
She's one in a million.
You ladies take care now.
But when presumed sins poison the well,
Back up.
Did you call the parking cops on me?
Admit it, you did this!
I don't think his complaints were warranted.
retribution will be biblical.
Turn it down!
He's unhinged.
You can talk to me if you're scared.
That guy just won't quit.
He felt his mother was in danger.
I had it with you. You and your mom need it spelled out for you?
It tends to wear on you.
Get out!
If you keep pushing someone,
Coward!
eventually they might push back.
Come on out!
I did not think he was capable of doing that.
You're off talk, old man!
It was shocking.
I know what you did.
Stay out of my neighborhood!
Stay away from my wife!
On the ground now!
Residents living in the Lauraville suburb of Baltimore cherish their close community.
I do consider Laurelville to be special and unique. The people there make it special.
Everyone that I've grown up with there, we've all known each other or known each other's parents or kids.
I've been here since I was born, and I really don't want to live anywhere else.
Now, don't forget about your studies and stay out too late now.
You're the one who's always out socializing.
For decades, it's been the perfect place for Tyra Womack to live, make friends, and raise her son, Jarrell. Tyra is an administrative assistant at the local post office. Jarrell studies at nearby Frostburg University.
Tyra was a great mother. She was very close to her son.
If her son needed anything, she was there.
Tyra enjoys working a 9-to-5, but her weekend job is her true passion.
Tyra is locally known as a really beloved gospel radio host.
Many friends and neighbors are listeners and big fans.
Every Sunday, we would hear her voice.
And the teachings of Jesus that I'll be focusing on today is from the Gospel of Matthew.
It was like I knew a famous person.
Thou shalt love thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment.
Tracy Hall and Gina Wicks are two of many neighbors close with Tyra.
Oh, Tyra, I love your latest radio show yesterday.
Oh, you're always far too kind. Thank you.
I'm gonna share some new tunes with Kristen. You ladies take care now.
Just like his social butterfly mother, Jarrell loves chatting and listening to music, mostly with neighbor and friend Kristen Lewis.
Okay, make sure you play those for me.
Definitely.
I spent a lot of time with Jarrell.
I could hear him rapping sometimes. And that was really nice because I'm into music too.
And you know, I have another show later today. And these walks, they always provide me with the energy needed for you.
Oh, amen to that.
Amen. Welcome back to the show, folks. With me, your host, Tyra Womack.
She's a one in a million. I consider her to be an angel in disguise.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
What up, Tyra? Another good weekend down at the station?
It sure was, Rich. How's the car running?
You know how he gets this precious Cadillac? If I want to spend any time with him, I have to come out here and lend a hand.
And you know you're the best girlfriend and helper a man could ever ask for.
Two more fixtures in this tight-knit neighborhood are Richard Green and Shelley Arrington. Richard is a renovations contractor, and Shelley works for the city of Baltimore.
Richard and his partner have been there as long as I can remember.
Richard was known as a bit of a guy's guy in the neighborhood, as well as being a handyman, so he was great to have around.
Their semi-detached home shares a wall with Tyra and Jarrell's.
Oh, and good news. Drell's going to be getting a new car today, so no more taking the bus to college for him.
Awesome, awesome. Let me know if he needs any help tuning her up. I'll have her purring in no time.
Oh, thank you. All right, I'll see y'all later.
Life in Lauraville seems like heaven on earth, but it will soon turn into a living hell.
Richard! Think you got away with damaging my car?
I had it with you.
Oh, man, not again. Tyra, how am I supposed to park my car here? There's no space.
Anyone who knows Baltimore knows that street parking can be tough.
It's actually very annoying to park on our street. It's like first come, first serve. So if you don't get there in time, you're going to be walking to your house from down the street.
Come on. You could fit a whole bus in that parking space.
Nah, you're gonna have to move back. Back up.
I know at one point, Miss Tyra, they had 2 cars, so I can imagine, like, maybe he needed a little more room.
You've come back from a long day at work and you can't park near your home. I could see why that might be frustrating.
Tyra has to carefully repark her car under Richard's watchful eye.
I don't think his complaints were warranted.
That's better.
Listen, Richard, there was an issue. I fixed it. Let's not make this a big thing.
That's easy for you to say. I gotta deal with this every day.
Galatians 6, verse 9. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted.
I don't need a lesson in scriptures, just a parking lesson.
Richard's parking complaints were exaggerated.
Miss Tyra was so approachable that I believe he could have said, hey, do you mind scooting up a little bit so I can get a space?
The street parking is a constant thorn in Richard's side.
Haven't you noticed the parking situation getting out of hand around here, or is it just me?
I don't want to hear another word about it. This is date night, and your queen should be the only thing on your mind.
I believe it could have been hard for her to hear those things.
What's that? You hear that?
Just ignore it.
Tyra has left her vehicle idling on the street.
In Baltimore, it's actually illegal to leave your car running unattended.
Hun, come on now. It's nothing. Don't let it get to you.
A person's house is their castle, and any outside noise can make it a difficult space to relax.
Oh, come on. I was barely gone.
Ma'am, you can't just leave your vehicle running and unattended like this.
I did hear about neighbors' cars getting ticketed.
Tyra suspects Richard is responsible for reporting her.
I think if a car is parked and not moved, he would call Baltimore City and say that the car was abandoned.
The radio host can't prove it was her neighbor, but what seems like a small battle will soon turn into an all-out war.
Keep that racket down!
I never thought things would escalate, so where they escalated to.
It was shocking. It's honestly really difficult to imagine anyone not liking Tyra or Jarrell, but Richard, for whatever reason, really took issue with them.
Tyra Womack is left frustrated after her car is ticketed.
What's up, Mom?
It's just not right. Being fined for leaving your car in for a little bit? I don't like having to tiptoe around the neighborhood, you know?
I would absolutely say that Tyra approached conflict with kindness and forgiveness.
Richard's got some issues.
I was hoping you'd stop by, Richard. Did you call the parking cops on me?
But I do think that she could have had a feisty side to her, too. You kind of have to living in this city.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm here to talk about my car and what you've done to her.
What?
You know what?
No, I honestly don't. Show me.
Richard's car was his pride and joy.
There's a dent right there.
So anyone damaging it really would have set him off.
What are you talking about? There's nothing there.
I don't think Miss Tyra would hit his car and not say anything.
Right there.
Come on, Mom. Let's leave him. You gotta get your eyes checked, man. You're seeing things.
Admit it! You did this!
For Richard Green, resentment towards his next-door neighbors is rising.
Richard must have felt frustrated and defeated.
Tyra and son Jarrell are finding the biblical teaching to love thy neighbor hard to abide by.
If you keep pushing someone, eventually they might push back.
A new gospel is spreading around the once peaceful community, one of tension and anger.
Jarrell became very frustrated.
He's acting real weird, Kristen, and I don't like the way he talks to my mom.
He felt that his mother wasn't being respected. He felt his mother was in danger.
And Richard has upped the ante once more.
This guy just won't quit.
What's happened?
Richard is getting insurance involved over the car damage.
I heard Tyra's auto insurance contacted her because Richard filed a complaint for a hit and run.
If he keeps pushing this, we might even end up going to court.
I definitely think being taken to court would weigh on him mentally.
I've got to go. I'm late as it is. I'll figure out what we're gonna do. I'll give you a call later.
See what I mean? He's paranoid or something. Over something so minor, too.
Despite the issues with his neighbor, Jarrell still tries to live his best life.
Jarrell would play hip-hop. So I remember I could hear from their house very clearly in the bathroom, and I could hear Jarrell.
What might be one man's anthem is another man's anathema.
I'm pretty sure Richard could hear from his house because sometimes I could hear Jarrell from my house.
Hey! I said keep that racket down!
What?
I just feel like his older stuff might have been better.
Might have been better.
Yeah,
Look, this is this point right here.
Good.
Look. Check this out.
Turn that garbage off!
Richard does have the personality to get angry about rapping or playing music or anything like that.
Turn it down!
Albion Avenue was once Nirvana. But for Richard, it's turning into purgatory.
I told you them people next door are no good.
Come on now, I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding.
I do think Richard's partner wanted to resolve everything, but I don't think she knew how.
Hold on. My insurance company calling. Hello? What do you mean? You can't be serious. All right, thanks for nothing.
What's wrong?
According to neighbors, Richard's accusation against Tyra and Jarrell for damaging his car has been dismissed due to lack of evidence.
It was a ridiculous complaint.
Well, apparently, I don't have enough proof it was them. I can't win.
It's possible that Richard's feeling like everyone's against him.
I wouldn't say that Richard is out of control. I would say that Richard enjoys being in control.
It must have been really frightening and stressful to be living next to someone who creates that much tension.
Residents on the street contend things continue to get worse.
Yo, can you turn it off for a second?
What now?
You think you got away with damaging my car?
I don't recall him avoiding interactions with women.
You're not smart. You're not clever.
What I recall is Richard bullying women. I do believe Richard was a misogynist.
Why are you so worked up over nothing?
You need to speak to Jesus and stop letting the devil get a hold of you.
I'm done with this.
I believe he targeted Tyra and Jarrell.
Richard always believed that he was right and everyone else was wrong.
The following evening, Tyra confides in a longtime friend about her issues with the man next door.
Some of the things he's been calling me are unrepeatable.
And you see when he shouts. He looks pure evil.
You know what? I think I've heard just about enough. And it's time to pay this Richard guy a visit.
Tyra's friend felt Richard was picking on a single mom.
Richard, come on out. I'd like to have a word.
He knocked on Richard's door and asked him to come out.
Richard, you need a lesson on how to speak to a lady? Come on out.
He wanted to speak to him about how he was being disrespectful.
I believe that Richard wouldn't stand up to a man like he would to a woman.
It's clear you're all talk, old man. Picking on a single woman? What's wrong with you?
I believe that Richard wasn't used to getting a taste of his own medicine. I believe Richard was afraid of the gentleman. And I also believe it was another opportunity for Richard to call the police, because that's what Richard enjoyed doing.
I need the police. My life is in danger.
It's entirely possible that everyone on the street was fearing for their lives.
Please, help!
They're conspiring against us.
It was just horrible.
I swear it's only a matter of time.
Get out of my house!
I don't think the neighborhood saw this happening at all. I think we were all very shocked.
According to multiple neighbors, after Richard calls the police,
My life is in danger.
stating he's been threatened by Tyra's friend, officers arrive on the scene.
Sir, I've received a report that you've been threatening to inflict harm. You're gonna have to come with me.
No, hold on. I'm the one who's protecting my friend. It's this Richard guy is doing all the hassling.
Sir, please come with me.
Officer, Richard is the one you should be arresting. He's the one that won't stop harassing us.
I don't believe that Tyra's friend should have been arrested. He invited him out just to talk to him like a man, man to man.
Richard, you're the one that needs locking up.
At that point, you're going to feel powerless and scared.
Despite all the tension, the much-adored radio host remains professional in the booth.
Thou shalt love thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind.
But at home, Tyra and Jarrell see no way of escaping their neighbor.
Tyra was fearful of the unknown, of what Richard was capable of doing.
I'm sure Jarrell became very frustrated at Richard.
Richard soon realizes it's him versus the whole neighborhood.
Richard might have felt this us against them mentality.
News of the escalations quickly spreads through the community. The following day, Tyra's friend Tracy pays Richard's partner a visit.
And what's this about police apparently being called? This isn't that kind of neighborhood.
I'm not one to gossip, Tracy. Plus, you don't know the full picture.
I know that there were times where when neighbor would go over and talk with her, usually when Richard wasn't around, so I can guess some of those conversations might have been, you know, just letting her know the things that he was doing.
Apparently, Richard's aggressive towards Tyra because she's a woman. You can talk to me if you're scared.
Hey! You're just one of Tyra's cronies. Get out of my house!
Richard,
Get out!
Unfortunately for Tracy, it doesn't end there.
In my opinion, he wanted everybody else to get in trouble. Richard would do stuff that he wasn't supposed to do.
Later, she is surprised to find law enforcement at her door.
Ma'am, we've received reports that you're in possession of an illegal firearm and that you'd be using it to threaten people.
I have no idea what you're talking
I wonder
about.
if we can come and take a look.
I don't even own a gun.
The neighbor's home was searched. No gun was ever found. But they did arrest her.
Even though I can't charge you with possession, I still have to arrest you for making threats with a firearm until we get all statements and get to the bottom of this.
The thing with neighbor disputes is that they can be incredibly difficult to deal with for police.
Tracy is soon released without charge. Residents have no concrete proof it was him, but an anti-Richard campaign sweeps through Albion Avenue.
He's out of control and trying to bully everyone.
We just need to make everybody aware. We can't have this nonsense happening in our neighborhood.
It was hurtful because these are innocent people. These are neighbors that have been in the neighborhood for years.
That was the rule, just to stay away from him.
Remember what I told you. It's best to avoid him.
When Richard realized that even the other men in the neighborhood were beginning to turn on him, he likely felt very threatened.
Richard becomes aware that gossip about him is spreading up and down the street. He decides to fight fire with fire.
Hey, man. I know there's a lot of tension going on in the neighborhood at the moment, but just so you know, Tyra's responsible for all of this.
Richard went door to door telling neighbors not to trust other neighbors and to avoid Tyra and Jarrell.
We've always had a peaceful neighborhood, and for Richard to try to bring conflict and confusion, it was just not acceptable.
Listen, man, I've got a lot of good friends in this neighborhood, so I don't want to be hearing this.
Richard's plan backfires, leaving him increasingly isolated.
No one would believe him because of the type of person Tyra was.
When Richard felt control slipping from his grasp, he probably began to panic.
The whole neighborhood may be on Tyra's side, but it doesn't bring her much comfort.
I'm scared. I swear it's only a matter of time before Richard hurts me or someone else I care about.
No. Everyone on the street's got your back.
Maybe I should just book a vacation away. Just get away from all of this for a little bit.
Tyra was absolutely right to be scared and nervous about Richard.
Hey, neighbor. Nice time of the year for a beach vacation, isn't it?
It may be a coincidence, but Tyra begins to believe Richard is listening in on her private conversations.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Are you okay?
I know it's gonna sound like I'm paranoid, but I swear Richard is monitoring me.
I wouldn't be surprised if Richard was listening to what was going on in Tyra's home, since they were next-door neighbors.
Tyra and her friends become increasingly fearful of their neighbor. They appeal to his better half for a way out.
Shelly, Richard's behavior has to stop. He's getting out of control. Come on, you have lifelong friends on this street. You're better than this.
Richard's partner is now stuck in this position where she's caught between close friends and Richard.
Shelly, please, help. Work with us here. Proverbs 14:21. He who despises his neighbor is a sinner.
I'm sorry.
I gotta go. I was angry, disappointed, frustrated, confused. I didn't understand why Richard's partner would treat other neighbors that she had known for so many years the way she did when no one had done anything to her.
For now, Richard and Shelley's household remains united. But the problems between Richard and the community grow day by day.
What's that?
As tensions on Albion Avenue reach an all-time high, Richard notices his car being ticketed.
See that? They're conspiring against us. They're all against us.
I believe Richard had my car ticketed one time, and I did the same thing to him.
Yo, what are you doing?
You're parked too far from the curb, sir. It's an offense.
That's crap. Like, what are you even doing here?
We have to take reports of all offenses seriously.
Come on, hon. Don't let him win.
Although the issues are petty, the upheaval that follows is anything but. Criminal histories of multiple residents have been plastered throughout the neighborhood, turning the community into a cauldron of suspicion and distrust. They can't prove it, but many residents believe they know who is responsible.
I believe that it was Richard's intention to destroy the peacefulness that was in the neighborhood.
For Tyra, there's no question it's Richard who's been spreading slander about her and fellow neighbors to create rifts in their tight-knit community.
Even though this is publicly available information, nobody wants to feel like their dirty laundry is being aired for everyone to see.
When someone constantly finds negative things to say and do, it tends to wear on you.
I don't think anyone knew it was going to become what it did.
I had it with you!
Jarrell!
It's sneaker season.
Inside, people would be careful about what they did. You're walking on eggshells in your own neighborhood, not wanting to upset, someone that might be unstable.
According to neighbors, Tyra hears gunshots and believes she sees Richard in his yard holding a firearm.
She was terrified.
I don't think someone like Richard should have ever had a gun. He does not seem mentally stable.
Mom? What is it?
He has a gun. I heard gunshots. He's unhinged.
You need to call the police.
They can hear us. And Shelley's gonna know it was us too. It's too risky. He can shoot it through the wall if he wants.
Hey, okay.
Knowing that Richard's partner works for the city, I can imagine that she would be able to access who called the police.
It's no surprise that Tyra would be too afraid to call the police on her neighbor.
Fearing possible retribution, Tyra and Jarrell decide not to involve the authorities.
You're right. Surely there's something we can do, though.
Struggling with the ever-growing stress, Tyra contemplates alternative options.
How about we just pack up and move?
We've been here our entire lives. The community means everything to you.
Sometimes picking up and moving just isn't an option.
The families that have these houses don't want to give these houses up. And like Miss Tyra and Jarrell, she had her son there from an early age.
For the single mother, it has become too much to bear.
Fine. I'll go talk to him. But I want you staying here, son. I can't risk him getting angry with you.
It's too dangerous. He has a gun.
I have to try anyway. And put my faith that the good Lord's gonna protect me.
Mom, please, don't. At least let me come with you.
They were praying and hoping that this would go away.
With seemingly no end to the conflict in sight, Tyra tries one last time to smooth things over with Richard.
What do you want?
Please, Richard. Can we just put this mess behind us? But no guns.
You're the one who's causing this. I need a gun to protect my family.
This whole thing has just gone too far. And over what? Parking tickets and a bit of music?
Tyra, you need to leave now!
Bringing a gun to an already tense situation like this really brings things to a whole other level.
No one in the neighborhood who believed that Richard had a gun would have felt comfortable or felt safe.
Despite their efforts to broker peace, Tyra and Jarrell's relationship with Richard has passed the point of no return.
When you've tried everything and things are still getting worse, you might become desperate.
Richard is not backing down.
Whenever I would see Richard, I would prepare myself for conflict because I wouldn't know what someone had said to trigger him.
I believe he probably felt there was no way he was going to regain control of the neighborhood.
And all control will soon be lost, for good.
It was a normal evening on June 10th. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary.
But it's a day that Baltimore will never forget.
Hon, what are you doing?
You mind carrying on with your yard work? I gotta go up front for a minute.
Sure, I don't mind, but what are you getting up to?
Listen, I won't be long.
Clearly, he had some agenda on his mind this evening.
Richard put a sign on Tyra's yard.
It was enough to create a confrontation.
Yo, what are you doing? Get this crap out of here! What's your obsession with the parking? So you and your mom need it spelled out for you?
Richard was starting issues unprovoked.
I'm tired of you, old man! I had it with you!
Tyra came back from her walk and saw that there was a confrontation unfolding.
Get this crap out of here! You're a big man now, huh? You're a pathetic jerk!
The shouting between the men grabs the attention of the entire street.
I arrived home as it was all unfolding.
I was sitting on the couch in the living room and looked out the window.
Coward!
Jarrell, just leave it alone. Get inside now.
Tyra was trying to calm her son down. Richard went to the trunk of his car and pulled out a gun.
I did not think Richard was capable of doing that.
Nobody could have anticipated what was about to happen next.
If you would have told anybody this a year before it happened, nobody would believe it. Jarrell and Miss Tyra were running zigzags up the street as she did everything she could to make sure Jarrell was gonna be okay.
Jarrell is able to escape further up the street. But Tyra's protection of her son comes at a terrible cost.
I'm just staring out the window, and we heard gunshots.
Tyra was shot twice, once in the arm and once in the chest.
I heard that Jarrell didn't know that his mom was shot because it happened so fast. He's still running.
I turned off all the lights and just waited.
I heard the shots. I stayed very still. And then I saw him walk up past the side of the car.
According to multiple witnesses, Richard then directs his rage at the entire neighborhood.
I'll shoot all of you!
He's telling our other neighbor, "You're next." And like cussing, yelling.
I'll shoot everyone here!
Richard, while he was arguing, he had pointed the gun, but there were no more bullets.
Whatever his intentions, fortunately no more shots are fired.
Richard did flee into the woods. We have woods next to our house and a river.
At that moment, we're like, we don't know if he's coming back.
Miraculously, Tyra is still breathing and is rushed to a neighbor's house.
The neighbors did try to save her after she had been shot.
My neighbors showed tremendous bravery.
Don't worry, Tyra.
The paramedics will be here any minute. The gentleman was on the phone talking to 911 while a neighbor was holding Tyra's hand.
I can't imagine, the trauma that comes along with trying to save your friend.
Mom!
Jarrell soon returns to the scene.
Mom!
In search of his mother.
Mom!
I think he at first thought that she ran into a house.
Mom, where are you?
But I don't think he realized that she had been hit.
Mom, I'm here. I'm here. Your baby boy's here, Mom.
Once he sees her, he realizes how serious the situation is.
His mind was probably like, I have to save my mom.
I'm here, Mom.
I'm so proud of you. I love you so much.
Please help her.
They performed CPR at the scene and rushed Tyra to the hospital.
Despite everyone's concerted efforts, Tyra Womack succumbs to her wounds.
We were all sad and crying.
We kind of just sat in the living room in shock, because by that time we knew that she had passed.
It's not long before news of the beloved radio host's death and her killer's disappearance spreads across the media.
A well-known radio personality for WEAA was fatally shot June 10th.
Now police are trying to piece together what happened and arrest a suspect. They do say that they have a person of interest in the case. If you have any information, you're asked to call police.
Richard was on the loose and considered extremely dangerous.
Having identified Tyra's neighbor as the prime suspect, a multi-day manhunt begins.
The manhunt was the scariest part.
It was starting to look like he may have gotten away with it.
The neighborhood is gripped with fear that Richard Green could return to finish what he started.
Yo, I'll shoot all of you! I'll shoot everyone here!
That caused a lot of us to watch the news and watch social media and see if he was caught yet. We were very nervous and anxious.
After 6 days on the run, police finally captured the fugitive at a bus stop in Rosedale, Maryland.
We didn't feel safe until he was actually apprehended.
Richard is taken in for questioning, where he admits his involvement in the shooting.
He is charged with first-degree murder, 3 counts of firearm use in a violent crime, attempted first-degree murder, and first-degree assault.
I was grateful that he was arrested. I was glad that he admitted it.
But one question remains.
I just wanted to know why?
To everyone's surprise, Richard's defense attorneys asked the court to find their client incompetent.
Get out of my house!
Citing that his doctor forced medication on him, which resulted in paranoid delusions.
In October of 2021, Richard is deemed mentally unfit to stand trial.
What ensues is a complex legal battle that still continues today.
Big man now. Can't win.
Richard is then reassessed as competent in 2022, only to be deemed incompetent once again.
Richard's charges remain pending as his competency is reevaluated. He has yet to be convicted of any crime.
My opinion is Richard is a manipulator. He knows the system. He's playing the system, and he's using the system. So he won't be tried and hopefully hospitalized for the duration of his time being incarcerated.
I do think that he's unstable. I do believe that he's unwell. I don't think that any of that is false, but I still believe there needs to be justice.
Richard is evil, very manipulative, and unpredictable.
Even though Richard's fate remains unknown, Tyra Womack's is forever sealed.
I would describe this tragedy as traumatic, as life-changing. It just shouldn't have happened.
Tyra's community has had to learn to live with the pain of losing their brightest light.
She should be remembered for being an amazing mom. Even in the tragedy, she was being an amazing mom during that moment.
I think that if he gets a guilty verdict, it will bring some closure, specifically to Miss Tyra's family. And I do hope one day they do get that closure.
A large service is held for Tyra, a clear display of how much she was loved by family, friends, neighbors, and fans.
I remember the funeral just being really beautiful, but also, of course, very sad.
Miss Tyra would have wanted us, the neighborhood, to come together.
The painful memory of June 10th's terrible events leads Jarrell to move out of his mother's home.
I wouldn't be able to stay there if that happened.
I can only imagine that it's hard for him.
Shelley Arrington still owns the home she shared with Richard.
I see Richard's partner occasionally come to the home. She doesn't stay there as much.
For those who remain, life will never be the same.
The neighborhood is peaceful again, but there's a void. There's an emptiness.
Everybody's like looking and making sure everything is okay. Everybody has been on guard since it happened.
Despite enduring trauma, Albion Avenue continues to honor Tyra's memory.
Tyra Womack should be remembered as a loving mother, a beautiful person, a caring person, a devout Christian.
I believe Tyra should be remembered for her beautiful spirit, for how kind she was, for how friendly she was.
Each year, a group of family and friends gather around Montebello Lake, and we walk around the lake to remember Tyra. Dove release occurs, and then flyers are passed out about Dream Forward Foundation that offers scholarships on behalf of Tyra.
We heard her voice on radio for so long. She was inside our house, you know, even when we were not around her.
Welcome back to the show, folks, with me, your host, Tyra Womack.
She left a legacy. Her work will speak for her.
Blessed are the merciful. Blessed are the peacemakers. And blessed are they that mourn.
A magnanimous neighbor
Thanks so much.
can be the pillar of a community.
Just helped my neighbor fix his septic tank.
I always quite liked him. You're an angel.
My name is Gabriel.
But when that pillar's sordid professional and personal affairs are exposed.
Hi, gentlemen.
He made a living smuggling drugs across the border.
There was two sides to him.
His retribution will rip that community apart.
This was the largest cluster in Canadian policing history.
That's when I knew you're a serial killer. I'm in danger.
You're gonna kill me.
Move! You psycho!
He had a hair trigger, temper.
It left many of us traumatized.
He was always out there hunting.
I'll stuff you like an animal!
I know what you did.
Stay out of my neighborhood! Stay away from my wife! On the ground now!
The town of Portapique, Nova Scotia overlooks Canada's Bay of Fundy and the world's most dramatic ocean tides.
53 vertical feet between high tide and low tide moves through the bay twice a day.
There's something in the air out there. It's almost mystical.
The beach drew me and is always welcoming. These quiet little villages are all connected, homey.
Portapique attracts nature lovers, beachgoers, and those seeking a simpler life. Like school teacher Lisa McCulley, who's looking to buy a home.
Lisa McCulley had gone through a divorce. She had 2 children. It seemed like an idyllic property.
The price is more than she can afford, but a good Samaritan is about to intervene.
Oh, you scared me.
Can I help you?
Sorry, I was snooping.
This is my uncle's property. That's my place across the way. Gabe Wortman.
Oh, Lisa McCulley. Nice to meet you.
Gabriel Wortman opened a denture clinic in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia that is quite prominent.
Gabriel takes pride in helping his patients achieve their best smile.
Here at Atlantic Denture Clinic, we invite you to come and smile with confidence.
But when Gabriel Wortman wasn't working as a denturist, he spent a lot of his time on his rural property in Portapique, Nova Scotia.
Gabe has amassed a portfolio of properties in the township, including a $1 million cottage on the beach.
I'm hoping I can buy the place, but I'm in a bit of a cash crunch, so.
Tell you a secret. You can knock 30 grand off the price, and he'll take it.
You're an angel.
My name is Gabriel.
Gabriel Wortman assisted Lisa McCauley in purchasing the property for lower than market value.
With Gabe's help, Lisa moves onto Orchard Beach Drive and a home by the sea. Perfect for her nature-loving children.
She got a divorce and bought that house with the settlement.
She always had the kids with her. To me, she was a nice person.
Once settled, Lisa hopes to run into her neighbor again.
Lisa McCauley's home was directly across from the warehouse where Wortman spent a lot of time. It was a really nice building.
The warehouse was the party place for Wortman. They used to have social visits.
First, she's introduced to another Portapique local.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Lisa. Is Gabe in?
Nope, he's helping a neighbor.
Are you his wife?
No, like his housekeeper, but no, we're friends too. Hello, I'm Cindy.
Gabe was my best friend. He was good to talk to. He wasn't judgmental.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I actually need a plumber, and he said he'd help.
Oh, that sounds like Gabe, yeah. Ah, speak of the devil. Here comes the mayor now.
Mayor?
Yeah.
I just call him the mayor, right? If I needed something, I'd go with the mayor. That would be Gabe.
Ladies, what can I do for you?
You mentioned you knew a good plumber.
You're looking at him. Just helped my neighbor fix his septic tank. Let me take a look.
Okay, thank you.
He always had this sort of side of his personality where he was helpful to people.
But sometimes, one neighbor's helper is another neighbor's nightmare.
I will take you out!
Yeah.
The next day, Lisa seeks Gabe out to thank him for his help.
Hey, guys.
Do that. Water heater okay?
Oh, just great. Thank you. You're handy.
This guy's handy. Meet Rob, my carpenter.
Hi, I'm Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
Rob, the carpenter, was working as a handyman, helping Wortman do all sorts of work in his property.
Got a visitor. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
I always quite liked Gabriel. He was very kind.
Gabriel had a presence. He had a smile that could light up a room. Very flirtatious.
Say, you want to come to a party? I invited Rob too.
Sure, why not?
Bring your swimsuit. There's a hot tub.
Given how helpful Gabriel Wortman was to Lisa McCauley, and given his position in society, I could see Lisa McCauley seeing him as an eligible bachelor.
Portapique may be small, but the community loves to socialize.
The parties are often attended by police and military.
Gentlemen, martini.
Oh, thanks, Brenda.
Oh, cheers. Hey, who's your new friend?
My neighbor, Lisa. She's great.
Welcome.
Gabe has his own understanding of what's socially acceptable.
Wortman decided to enter the hot tub with his private parts on full display.
He was described as being very well endowed.
And he's fixated on Lisa.
You know, Lisa, you're incredibly attractive.
Easy, Tiger.
Oh, come on. I'm just having some fun.
Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. I think she needs a breathing room, okay?
Hey, man, she likes me.
Yeah, I know. But still, I'm just saying, come on.
Rob the carpenter claims that Gabriel was coming on very strongly, and he asked Gabriel to cool down and take it easy.
Lisa now sees a new side of her neighbor. Gabe can be crude and controlling.
Gabriel would try to seduce her, and she would reject him over and over again.
At the same time, since her divorce, Lisa is lonely, and money problems are a constant concern. Her situation gets worse when tragedy strikes her family.
I heard the bad news. I'm so sorry.
When Lisa McCauley's brother died, Wortman was there for her.
Also, I was out of line at that party. It won't happen again. Promise.
He'd be a shoulder to cry on. He'd be there giving advice.
That night, one thing leads to another.
Lisa McCauley and Wortman had a relationship.
And Gabe soon offers Lisa deliverance from her money troubles.
Hey, you said you're in a cash crunch. If you like, I could buy your property. You could live here rent-free.
Lisa McCauley would fall right into that.
Thank you. I mean, that's an incredible offer.
That this is a guy who's there to be your friend. He has money, he takes care of me.
Lisa and Gabe's relationship seems promising.
Howdy, neighbor.
But at one of his parties, that promise is broken.
Do I know you?
This is a private party?
It's Gabe's party. Who are you?
I'm his wife.
Lisa Banfield was his long-term common law partner, but she spent a lot of time back in Dartmouth running the denture clinic while he was alone in Portapique. Lisa McCauley is now realizing that Gabriel Wortman has a lot more baggage than she expected.
According to Lisa McCauley, she gets an unexpected visitor later that night.
Keep your filthy hands off of my husband.
Lisa Banfield's not an idiot. That relationship from the very beginning between Lisa Banfield and Lisa McCauley was chilly.
Whoa, back off. I didn't even know he was married.
Don't think I don't know what's going on, because I know exactly what's going on.
If you want to fuck with me, go for it, but I bite back. Banfield knew that McCauley and Wortman were having some sort of relationship. And she was trying to put the kibosh on it.
Lisa McCauley can't stop wondering what kind of marriage Lisa Banfield has with Gabriel Wortman.
You never really know a person. You never really know all the aspects.
Even though they're together for 19 years, it's not clear what the glue is that holds them together. Banfield is not really part of Wortman's everyday life in Portapique, where he spends most of his time.
The truth is, despite having a common law wife, Gabe Wortman views Portapique as his private sexual playground.
Some of the darker things that seemed to be going on in Gabriel Wortman's life was, again, due to his interest in the opposite sex. That seemed to be well beyond what would be appropriate and reasonable.
And when his spouse complains, sometimes he punishes her.
Help! Help me! Help me! He's gonna kill me!
Lisa Banfield went to a neighbor after she had been abused by Wortman.
Gabe is gonna kill me!
Please, come inside. I know a shelter we can call.
No.
No. They'll protect you. You'll be safe there.
No, Gabe will come and kill me.
We don't know. Lisa! I'm calling the police.
The neighbor called the police and reported it.
You realize you're the third officer telling me you can't do anything.
Doesn't seem like they were really acted upon.
And more information about how dangerous Gabriel really is reveals itself.
Gabriel Wortman has a stash of illegal guns, okay? And his wife could get killed.
The fact that Wortman had guns was known. Like, one of the next door neighbors saw the guns and told the police so.
Later that weekend, Lisa Banfield returns to her home in Dartmouth, safe for now. However, the neighbor she ran to is anything but.
Don't you ever call the cops on me!
You scared me.
I will take you out! You're gone, you friggin' bitch!
He was not above threatening people.
I'll stuff you like an animal!
Gabe's reputation as a good Samaritan is unraveling fast.
Gabriel Wortman seemed to take great care to maintain the facade of an innocent, helpful, rich man.
But it was a thin veneer of civility, because beneath that, he was very domineering, controlling.
Many of Gabe's nefarious activities take place under the cover of darkness, especially those concealing the extent of his sexual depravity.
He tried to sleep with every single female of sexual age that was in that area.
Wortman took an interest in everyone, every woman. It didn't matter what their age was, what they looked like. He was always out there hunting.
This includes those who work for him, like his housekeeper, Cindy Starrett.
He's a self-proclaimed sex addict. He confessed that to me.
Cindy worked for Gabriel as a cleaner and doing unskilled labor, but they also had a sexual relationship.
We knew what we were doing. We were going hardcore sex, and that's what it was about. There was no romance or lovey-dovey's or anything like that.
Late one night, two young women enter the warehouse, invited to party with its esteemed proprietor.
Yeah, it looks like Gabe made this pitcher of martinis for us.
Ann Rogers and her friend find themselves in Gabriel's playland.
Oh, just so you know, Gabe's probably gonna want a threesome, so.
As the women survey their surroundings, Anne can't believe what she sees.
There is a fully marked RCMP car. As far as I knew, this is a real RCMP car. I was like, what is going on?
The RCMP, or Mounties, serve as the local police force in Portapique.
I've been in police cars before, and it looked like it was down to the T.
You like? I did the work myself.
What are you, a cop or a biker?
Bit of both.
What's the car for?
I'm saving it for the apocalypse.
He's like, oh, it's the end of the world. And little did we know in a few months what was coming.
Let me pour you a drink.
As the night progressed, he's feeding us alcohol this whole time. My friend became just obliviously drunk to the point of not functioning. And he seemed to be focused on me.
What's that for?
He's like a friend. I stuffed him myself.
He was trained originally as an embalmer.
Wortman cultivated this persona of being this dark, dangerous guy. He worked at a funeral home back in the mid to late 90s. He was familiar with working with the dead.
In that moment, I felt like a fly under a glass microscope, just the way he was like looking at me.
Restroom, please.
Like a cat playing with a mouse.
Follow me?
You had false walls here and there, little places to hide.
He just had all these strange sex toys.
Anne realizes she is cornered in a secret den of twisted perversion.
I knew, like, I'm in danger.
What's going on?
I'm having very dirty thoughts.
The frightened guest suddenly has a dark premonition.
I thought somebody could be chained there for weeks, just sitting on the toilet chain there. The way that room was all cement. You could sit there and you could scream and nobody would ever hear you. I looked in his eyes and there was nothing, just darkness. That's when I knew I was like, you're a serial killer.
That's me.
Lisa McCauley is left wondering exactly what kind of man is her neighbor.
On the surface, if you walked into Gabriel Wortman's denture clinic,
we invite you to come and smile with confidence.
He came across as soft-spoken, quiet, friendly, but I think people who got closer to him saw that there was two sides to his personality. It's very clearly a Dr. Wortman, Mr. Hyde type situation. I would say Portapique is Twin Peaks, Nova Scotia's version. The relationships between the people are always surprising, and there's always two versions, the one that's on the surface and the one that only their close friends know.
Gabriel Wortman's erratic behavior
I'll stuff you like an animal!
has the community of Portapique on edge.
He made a lot of people around him nervous.
Lisa McCulley is moving on from her affair with Gabe Wortman and hoping to find someone new.
Howdy! Could you folks use some firewood?
Heck yeah, thank you.
She soon meets Leon Jodry.
Leon had an extremely good work ethic, and when he wasn't working at Natural Resources, he was working privately on his own, and he was an expert hunter, fisherman, woodsman.
Lisa finds herself instantly attracted to the handsome local.
Leon Jodry was interested in meeting someone. I'm not surprised at all that he would meet Lisa McCulley and the two would be drawn to each other.
Gabriel Wortman quickly zeroes in on Lisa's latest romantic interest.
Howdy. See, you've met my neighbor Lisa, Gabe Wortman.
Oh, yeah, Leon.
Hey, Leon, you want a free flat of rum? I snuck it across the border.
From the moment Leon Jodry met Gabriel Wortman, he had a bad feeling about him. Wortman saying, I smuggle things across the border, I can get you what you want. That made him nervous.
I'm okay, thanks.
Suit yourself. Say, how are things going with Lisa?
She's nice. You know, early days, one step at a time.
She's a great woman. A really great woman.
Wortman was very possessive. Everything he wanted was his. He likely saw himself as the owner of Lisa McCulley.
Let me know if she's made a decision about selling me her property. I'm here to help.
Leon saw through Gabriel's thin veil of nice, friendly guy. He saw him for who he was from the beginning.
Lisa and Leon are aware that their neighbor still has his eyes on Lisa, her property, and more.
He seemed to have intentions of buying up as many properties as he could out there.
One day, Leon witnesses Gabe approach the home of Portapique resident Aaron Tuck.
Aaron, hey, my neighbor Cindy tells me you're thinking about selling your old cottage.
Yeah, I'd be open to an offer. I'm sure it would be okay to let this place go for, I don't know, 50, 60 grand.
The Tucks were considering selling their property. They had plans to sell it and move to Cape Breton.
How about 18 grand?
How about you get off my property?
After Wortman made this rather aggressive offer of $18,000, it was quite clear that Wortman had no respect for Tuck.
Now.
Aaron, the shack is a teardown. Take the money.
Said move!
The only person moving is you.
He could instill fear in you by what he said and by getting right in your face. You can just smell his breath and see into his soul.
Look, we don't have to settle this right now. I'll drop by later.
We don't have to settle this ever. You psycho!
Wortman, in his bravado, wanted to be the king, but some of the men weren't afraid of him, and that would piss him off.
Aaron Tuck, he doesn't look like someone that Gabriel Wortman could physically push around.
But that night, an intruder makes a mess of Aaron's lawn.
What? Stop it!
Aaron Tuck had issues with somebody operating an ATV on his property. This is sort of intimidation.
It turns out the stranger ruining the Tuck's property is affiliated with Gabe Wortman.
Get out of here!
Aaron Tuck was almost coming to blows with one of Wortman's lackeys.
Confrontation is averted when Gabe pulls up in his replica police cruiser.
Hey, sorry about the ATV. He's a friend of mine in the Hells Angels.
You can't drive an RCMP vehicle, that's illegal.
Don't you worry. They're friends of mine, too. They call me the mayor.
The mayor's message is clear.
I'm bulletproof and the police are going to do nothing to me. And that certainly was his reputation, crazy behavior, racing around the community with impunity.
Yet few know just how deep Gabriel's ties to both the law and outlaws run.
He liked to flaunt the fact that he had police relationships, but he also had criminal relationships with a lot of outlaw bikers. Wortman fit in perfectly because he was a criminal at heart. Throughout his life, Wortman had underworld connections. He made a living through university smuggling cigarettes and drugs across the border and literally turned that into a business that he continued all his life.
Seems like a fair amount of his wealth came from that.
It's suspected that Gabriel Wortman's cross-border operation is what connected him to biker gangs in the first place.
Wortman's association with organized crime goes way back with biker clubs where he provided motorcycle parts for them, suspected of providing guns that he smuggled across the border.
Law enforcement also recognizes how malevolent he can be. The Provincial Bureau that fights organized crime even issued a police bulletin warning that Gabriel Wortman is dangerous.
Wortman had been reported for threatening to kill a police officer, assaulting his common-law wife, but every time he was pretty well given a pass. He always got away with things and always got a soft ride from the police.
I was told that Gabe played both sides, informant and criminal. Good guy, bad guy.
So he's the perfect double agent. However, the government and police deny that Wortman was an informant.
But Gabe engages in some activities that indicate his relationship with law enforcement is more involved than they will admit.
There are strange things going on which suggest that Wortman had a special relationship of some kind with the police, because there's no other way to explain some of the things that happened.
This includes him making cash withdrawals from an unusual location.
People just don't go to Brinks to get money. But it is something that happens with RCMP informants, police informants.
That would become a pivotal part of the theory that Gabriel Wortman was working as a confidential informant, that this money was some sort of payment from the RCMP for his work as a confidential informant.
Even with his ties to authorities, the denturist still seeks to keep some of his dealings discreet.
Gabriel Wortman is up to something that he doesn't want people to see. He doesn't want law enforcement to be knocking on the door.
And he has means of achieving that secrecy.
Gabriel was maintaining a network of trails that seemed to stretch from his property to different locations such as the waterfront or back roads for the purpose of smuggling in illegal weapons.
Great. Just in time.
Yeah.
I want to use the forest trail to get these to my cottage.
Why not just put them in your truck and take them on the road? It'd be a lot easier.
What do you think?
Jesus.
This guy is scary, like, be on guard with this guy.
Gotta keep these babies away from prying eyes.
I knew something very dark was going on, and something very bad was going to happen, and nobody was prepared for this.
Gabriel Wortman was dangerous, and they had prohibited weapons, and they failed to take action on it.
Wortman fit the profile of someone who has a special relationship with police or government authorities.
And not just the police.
Where'd you get it?
Yeah, from my guy in Maine.
Holy crap! What are these for?
You don't want to know.
That's the way he behaved. He saw himself as superior, and everyone else was beneath him.
Feeling untouchable, Gabe Wortman treats the neighborhood like his personal kingdom. Which still includes Lisa McCulley and her home.
Oh, hey, Gabe.
I was just wondering if you thought about my offer to buy your property.
He is relentless in his bid to buy Lisa's house and add it to his empire.
Wortman had long coveted that property, and one of his tactics was to help people buy something and then take over the deed. Many people had lost their properties to Wortman because of his helpfulness.
But Lisa is more concerned with distancing herself from her former lover.
I'm getting more serious about Leon. He's not a fan of yours.
When she went with Leon Jodry, that would be an affront to him, and he would take that badly.
Understood. Goodbye, Lisa.
That would cause a lot of heat. And I don't think Lisa McCulley had any idea how hot it could possibly get.
And while relationships crumble in the small town of Portapique, the entire outside world grinds to a halt.
To slow the spread of COVID-19, both Canada and the United States will temporarily restrict all non-essential travel across the Canada-US border.
When COVID happened, everything changed.
They've shut the border.
I don't know how Gabe would have coped with the COVID. Losing money would probably be an issue.
The damn border's closed. What am I gonna do now?
Gabriel couldn't go to the United States. He all but had the rug pulled out from underneath him.
Adding more fuel to the fire, Gabriel's wife moves full-time to Portapique to isolate with him, bringing his adulterous sex life to a screeching end.
The denture clinic closed down. Lisa Banfield would be with him full-time.
We wouldn't be able to keep the sex lifestyle.
He needed to have time away from Lisa Banfield and the ability to bring people close to him. COVID prevented that from happening as well.
Then one day, Gabe watches a news report that many believe sent him off the deep end.
There was a significant drug bust in New Brunswick.
Various Hells Angels had been arrested in very dramatic busts.
A confidential informant was the linchpin that allowed this significant drug bust in New Brunswick to occur. Gabriel Wortman could have been involved in this as a confidential informant.
If the bikers suspected he was the guy who pointed the police to them, in Wortman's mind, that would have made his life worthless. He was a dead man walking. It was time to cash out.
I want to make a withdrawal. All of it.
That afternoon, he enters a Brinks company outlet.
What Gabriel Wortman does there is he receives just under $500,000 in cash before walking out of the building.
It seemed initially that that probably was evidence of an undercover operation, a payment by the police. He went in with, a piece of paper, and he came out with the money in a bag, and off you go.
That night, Gabe asked Lisa Banfield to help him hide all his money.
He had $705,000 in cash at his cottage.
That cash was hidden in fireproof bags.
Yet for all the effort, it's money he will never spend, as darker plans now possess him.
I don't understand. Why are we doing this?
It's over.
What's over?
Everything.
He makes good on that apocalyptic message. April 18th, 2020. No one knows what's going through Gabriel Wortman's head this night.
Maybe he resented the police for having put him in that position and lashed out.
He didn't expect to be around much longer.
One thing is certain. Gabriel Wortman will be cementing an infamous place in Canadian history.
Nobody knew that it was going to go that far off the rails, that he was going to go that crazy.
At 10 p.m. on April 18th, Gabriel Wortman leaves his warehouse after setting it on fire.
He went from home to home in his neighborhood, presenting himself as a cop.
He drives to the home of neighbors Greg and Jamie Blair and their 2 young children.
Gabriel Wortman approached the home of the Blairs. Greg came outside where Gabriel shot him.
Jamie Blair calls 911.
911, what is your emergency? My neighbor, yes, is crying out. I think he just shot my kid. There's a police car in the driveway. There's police cars in the driveway? There is an RCS system that's labeled RCS signature. It's not a police car.
She made it clear that it was her neighbor, Gabriel Wortman, dressed as a cop, driving an RCMP car that shot her husband.
Greg Blair lies dead in front of his home.
He's trying to get into my house. He just broke the lock. Ma'am, what's your name? Jamie. Hello? Hello?
Gabriel Wortman killed Jamie Blair.
Thankfully, the shooter doesn't discover where the Blair's 2 boys are hiding.
Her children call 911, and the children also recount that he was dressed as a cop, but he's not a cop. He's their neighbor, Gabriel, and that he's driving a cop car.
Hearing the commotion outside, Lisa McCulley investigates.
She heard a dispute and told her 2 children to stay inside.
Gabe, what's going on?
Lisa dies from her wounds. Fortunately, Gabriel does not pursue her children. Instead, he heads to the home of his romantic rival, Leon Jodry.
Gabriel hated him the most.
But Leon has gone to bed early, making the house appear vacant. Gabriel moves on. His next destination is the home of Aaron Tuck.
Said move!
Who is there with his partner Jolene and their daughter Emily.
He approached the Tuck home.
What do you want? Just this.
The killing in the Tuck home happened fast and violently. The 3 members of the family were found almost on top of each other. He was shooting people and lighting their homes on fire, one after another. Many of the victims had their guard down. Their last moments were likely when they were realizing that this wasn't a cop.
Gabriel Wortman murders 13 people in Portapique that night and sets 16 houses on fire.
He may have been just trying to create a chaotic situation in order to distract the police from trying to figure out exactly where he was.
The denturist is not only murdering his immediate neighbors, he extends his killing spree to the larger community. Somehow, police fail to capture him.
They knew that this guy had committed multiple murders, that he was driving a police car. There was a massive failure in communication.
Authorities only notify the public with a post on Twitter.
The RCMP sent out a tweet that night that there was a firearms complaint in Portapique and just sort of left it at that.
Using Twitter to notify the public demonstrates gross negligence and mass incompetence. There's no other word for it. It's gross negligence, overwhelming incompetence.
In the early hours of April 19th, Leon Jodry is awakened by a panicked Lisa Banfield banging on his door.
Oh no, what's wrong?
Help me, please.
What's going on? What's happening?
I've been hiding in the woods all night.
In the woods?
Before starting his rampage, Gabriel handcuffed and locked Banfield in his replica RCMP vehicle.
He's gathering firearms and ammunition and loading them into the front seat of the car. It's during this time that she sees the opportunity to sneak from the back seat, which had locked doors, into the front seat of the car through a small opening that was in the window. She escaped in the police cruiser. She was running for her life. Ran into the woods, and she found a place to hide, and she spent the night there.
It's not safe for you to stay here.
Leon Jodry was concerned about both their safety.
What no one realizes is that Gabriel Wortman is long gone from Portapique and spent the night sleeping in a parking lot 15 miles away.
What I couldn't understand was how this guy pulled a rabbit and was able to jump out of the area. We were dealing with a massive screw up here. There was no secondary perimeter set up. Additional police forces weren't drawn in.
12 hours after the first murder, authorities finally warn the public. But Gabriel Wortman's killing spree continues as he tears through rural Nova Scotia.
Driving his vehicle alongside a vehicle and shooting a woman who was just out for a walk.
By chance, Wortman encounters another RCMP cruiser, slays the officer, then sets both their vehicles on fire. Constable Heidi Stevenson, a 23-year RCMP veteran, leaves behind 2 children. Meanwhile, law enforcement searches for the killer, some in unmarked vehicles.
Gabriel Wortman ends up in a stolen vehicle that, thankfully, is almost out of gas. So we had no choice but to stop at a gas station.
The station's security cameras capture the gunman's arrival. Over 13 hours, Gabriel Wortman has murdered 22 people. But his rampage is about to come to an abrupt end. A tactical police unit chances upon him at the gas station and approach in their unmarked vehicle. Officers see the suspect go for his gun. The target is brought down. The largest mass murder in Canadian history has finally ended. And people immediately want answers.
This was the largest cluster in Canadian policing history.
Is he doing all of this to exact revenge on the RCMP? He dressed up as a Mountie and went around killing people in the name of the Mounties to pay them back. For what? That his cover was blown as an informant? That his life was over and he's blaming them?
In March of 2023, the $30 million Mass Casualty Commission delivers a scathing report criticizing the RCMP.
Among our recommendations, we are calling for major changes to RCMP oversight, processes, and culture.
Survivors in Portapique band together, desperate to heal from overwhelming tragedy.
I was extremely traumatized. Well, I couldn't see any beauty anywhere for a while.
Leon Jodry is outspoken in condemning the authorities' failure to support victims' families.
One of the things Leon kept saying over and over again was that Lisa McCulley hadn't done anything wrong, and this was just wrong. He said, I lost a gal that I used to go out with.
Just the weight of this situation and the fact that he wasn't asked to testify at the commission. He was just bearing it all on his own.
Severely depressed, he eventually takes his own life.
He wasn't getting any counseling, but he definitely needed help, and he was crying out for it, and that led him to that decision, and so it was a really sad thing.
Oh, the whole province just died that day.
This whole event hugely impacted Nova Scotia and left many of us traumatized.
There's so much blood that's been spilled on that land, and I can't go back there. I wish I didn't even know what Portapique was.
Moving in right beside old friends may bring you closer.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Huh? Can I help with that?
I was thinking that the relationship was unbreakable.
But when life next door becomes constant disruption, those friendships are destroyed.
The rude. Another way to put it.
You should see less of him.
And once peaceful neighbors spiral out of control.
Keep your stuff on your side.
Shut up or come out here, you creep.
You're doing this on purpose!
Stay away from my family.
Do it because I said so.
Everyone, calm down!
And I think that pissed him off.
Everybody hates you!
One of these days, I'm gonna... all three of you.
911, where's the emergency? David's about the gunshots. We're getting units heading that way.
I know what you did. Stay out of my neighborhood! Stay away from my wife! On the ground now!
This little hamlet in Texas is only 16 miles from downtown Dallas.
Cedar Hill is actually a fairly small town that's nestled into Dallas County. It was a traditional neighborhood where everybody knew everybody.
It was pretty. It was pretty peaceful. Like.
Jerry Edwards and David Bailey have lived in this home for over a year, but not for much longer.
Oh, I just want to sweep up a bit before we go.
What for?
They are both hard-working truck drivers, though Jerry is now a manager.
At one point, my mom had 3 full-time jobs. Don't know how the heck she managed to do it, but she did. She was a determined person. Her fiance, David, was a quiet person for the most part.
They've been together 7 years, recently getting engaged. The couple is moving out of this house to start a new chapter in their lives.
That should do it.
Ready to say goodbye?
Oh, yes.
That was a rental property, and the rent just kept getting higher and higher and higher.
But they aren't going far. In fact, they are only moving right next door.
David's daughter and her husband, they ended up purchasing the house, so they ended up renting a house from her.
Since the owners are family, they have the freedom to renovate it any way they like.
We got our work cut out for us.
Yeah.
It had to be completely gutted. It was going to end up needing a complete restoration on the inside.
Let's get the rest of the stuff in.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Okay, just put it down.
Was it this heavy when we moved it out of the house?
I don't think so.
There is an added bonus to moving next door.
Can I help with that?
Hi. Hi.
In that it brings them one house closer to their neighbors, the Silvers.
Danny and Teresa Silvers were friends with my mother and David.
Danny and Teresa Silvers have lived in this neighborhood longer than most anyone else. Danny has just retired from his job as a truck driver, and Teresa works for the transit agency.
Mr. Silvers was a character. He is a very big character.
Danny Silvers is the kind of person that you could invite into your home and you could trust.
Easiest move I've ever seen.
Well, not quite.
There was a normal, healthy, friendly neighbor relationship.
I was thinking that the relationship was unbreakable, you know?
But anything can break under pressure.
Get your ass out of here! Stay away from my family.
If she had whistles in her ears, they would have been tooting. She had steam coming out.
Moving closer together strengthens the bond between Jerry, David, and the Silvers.
They actually hung out together, you know, and sit around, drink beers and stuff together.
You remember the Smiths down the street?
I do. They were a nice couple.
Can't tell you how many times he'd been over and hang out, you know, I mean, it's just standard neighborly stuff.
I was thinking of digging up all along here and planting rose bushes. Oh, that'll be nice.
Mom? The front door was unlocked.
Hey, there you are. No? This is my son, Nick. He's going to be living with us for a bit.
In 2015, I moved back down to Texas and was staying with my mom and David, just trying to start life over, reestablishing. When I first moved back down here, I didn't have a job, of course, that I was looking for work, needing money.
I'm looking for work.
We could do something about that. I got a list of chores as long as my arm.
Danny had given me an offer of doing some yard work. Okay, great.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Speaking of work, I gotta get going.
David heads off to his job, but since retiring, Danny spends a lot more time in the neighborhood. And he's starting to not like what he sees.
Take a look at that. What does it look like to you?
Someone napping?
Danny grills a recent addition to the street, Quinnis Durham.
You know this guy?
What? No.
You live around here?
Yeah. We just moved in over there. Why?
When we first moved into the neighborhood, it was from that time period on. He's just been keeping an eye on me.
Never seen you before.
So?
So what do you think?
About what?
I don't know, this guy looks like he could be on dope or something.
On dope?
Hello, police?
Oh, is that necessary?
I'd like to report a... Never mind.
Danny was a guy that obeyed the law and expected others to do the same.
He made it seem like he was Mr. Tough Guy. That's the kind of feeling it was.
Danny did like things to be orderly.
The retiree finds the growing noise next door to be a nuisance.
Where's it coming from? Hello? Hey! Hey!
They're stripping out this house, rehabbing it. They're making noise. They're leaving trash sitting around.
Would you have to be so loud?
It's a reno. I mean, noise happens.
He knew that they were gonna fix the place up. I think he was surprised and thrown off, I guess, by how much actually goes into renovating a house. And I think that pissed him off.
Can you try just to keep it down a little bit?
I don't think that's going to be a possibility.
We can turn the music down.
Yeah, but that's about it. Don't worry, it's not forever.
They were just flabbergasted of how irate he seemed.
And it's not just the noise that's bothering Danny. The construction mess is slowly encroaching onto his yard.
Can you please keep your stuff on your side? I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, maybe you should see less of him.
My mom started to pull away from him, but David never really let Danny, get under his skin.
Maybe he's just having a bad day.
They're rude.
Another way to put it, especially her.
This whole construction project that they were doing begins the deterioration of what started out as a good relationship. Danny was doing his best to have people respect his rights.
It's not long before Nick and Danny's relationship changes as well.
Hey, can I get the eaves done today? I want to get it before the rain comes in.
I'm really sorry, man. I got a new job and I start today.
Once I was able to, find a job, it was very difficult for me to be able to help as far as any kind of yard work and stuff like that anymore. So I couldn't do it. I had to turn him down.
I got stuff I need done.
I'm really sorry, but I can't help.
Just forget it.
I already was starting to see his true colors.
The renovation to David and Jerry's house is taking longer than expected. And as the construction drags on, the noise steadily increases. And the mess gets worse.
So, during the remodeling, they were doing it in a way that really seemed like it wasn't the right way.
It was so bad. I mean, between just, sheetrock and carpet and, the dust amounts.
Hey! Hey! What are you doing? What does it look like?
Danny is concerned about the sawdust settling on his vehicle.
Yeah, what about my truck?
Do you want a tarp?
This is demolition. Things are gonna get tore up. There's gonna be debris.
No, I don't want a tarp. What I want for you to do is stop doing what you're doing.
That's not gonna happen. So you're just gonna have to deal with it, Danny.
My mom being a truck driver, she was tough. Danny did not like that.
Talk to me like that, you. Danny! Those of us who own their own homes tend to be a little more respectful of each other.
What's that supposed to mean?
It means I'm not freeloading off my kids. Clean up the junk pile.
The once solid friendship is falling apart and threatens to push an entire neighborhood to the brink.
What are you doing this on purpose?
Can you take it easy?
Nobody respects you.
I didn't understand how everything just went to the commode.
They got along just fine. The Baileys, the Silvers, when they were separated, but these two didn't mix out real well as next-door neighbors.
As the renovations continue with no end in sight, Danny Silver's frustration at his once good friends begins to rise.
Once the Baileys started this construction project next door, they weren't keeping it orderly. So Danny was frustrated.
As the remodeling takes shape inside, Jerry sets her sights on the outside as well.
My mom was extremely gifted with a lot of things. And she had a green thumb. She was always outside working on the yard, watering and mowing. She loved it.
Danny is not impressed.
Hey! Hey! You gonna make a mess of my lawn too? What do you mean? You're cutting my lawn.
The way he would discuss issues that bother him was, we don't need to talk about it, just do what I said, you know, like that real strict parent. Do it because I said so.
Hey, I'm talking to you.
My mom wouldn't do what he wanted her to do. He would let that push him into another level. I mean, come on, let it go.
Danny doesn't feel he's getting the respect he deserves.
Danny had kind of felt like he was part of the backbone of the neighborhood.
Now we're his new focus.
David Bailey, Jerry Edwards, and her son Nick feel like they're constantly under Danny's watchful eye.
I mean, how can you live? We can't exist. So did we make a mistake? No matter what we do, it's not right.
Danny continues his neighborhood watch, increasingly irritated at the state of the community.
What is wrong with people?
He begins to grow suspicious of his new neighbor, Quinnis Durham.
Aren't you forgetting something?
He believed there was something going on over there. You'd watch the cars come up, and they'd park. Somebody would go in there. About 5 minutes later, a car would start, and it would leave. And another car would pull up. 5 minutes later, the car would leave.
So Danny was just watching me from across the street. I could never even understand why he would do that.
I think Danny just immediately thought the worst of everybody.
Mostly, Danny is concerned with his property. When a contractor shows up to do some work on David and Jerry's home, he swoops into action.
What do you think you're doing?
Parking.
Not here, not there.
The contractor parked in front of our driveway, and Danny threw a fit.
What's going on here?
You think you own the street now? You can't block me in like that.
There's stuff on my driveway.
No, you got garbage on your driveway.
It's only for a minute. I just
Move
need to...
your truck.
His bumper may have been over the driveway about that far, but there was no reason for that to be an issue.
I could just park down the street.
I'll show you where to park. Okay?
My mom was like, just pull in the yard. So they did, you know. That was not the ideal decision for Danny.
Better? Are you purposely trying to look more like hobos?
Apparently that was trashy of us.
Ignore him. Everyone else does.
According to the neighbors, Danny is now convinced he needs to keep an even closer eye on things.
Far enough. I said that's far enough. Stay on your side.
Jerry can hear Danny, but can't see him.
So his little hideout in the tree, you would never even notice there.
What is it?
Something weird is going on.
What do you mean? Want me to come out?
No, never mind.
You wouldn't even know Danny was outside until he said something.
What did I tell you?
Shut up or come out here, you creep!
Don't be talking to me that way.
It's like, what are you doing back there? Who does that?
What are you doing? Are you spying on us? On me?
I'm just having my sandwich, but I can see you just fine.
They had claimed that he would watch them, but Danny said he just liked to sit out front, relax in the shade.
Are you almost finished with this renovation, or do you even know what you're doing?
Oh.
Don't turn your back on me. Hey! Hey!
If you didn't pay attention to him and coddle him like a child, he would throw a temper tantrum about it.
Look at me when I'm speaking to you. I've been on this street longer than you. Longer than everybody on this street. I said don't turn your back on me. Hey, look at me when I'm speaking to you. Danny, you need to back off.
Danny said that David pulled a knife on him.
Put that thing away. You stay away from me.
I have no idea of what that is even coming from. David was the most passive, calm person.
Both of you, stay away from me. Danny!
Danny had stepped back from the encounter, didn't call the police or anything, but withdrew.
Yet Danny does have the means to protect his property.
Danny was a guy that had a handgun in his home. Texas, anybody can possess a gun.
Danny, what is it?
Nobody can see just how far this feud will be taken.
Within the next month or so, it just escalated. It was very gruesome.
Things had started to progress down that slope, and that snowball kept picking up speed.
It's only been 2 months since Jerry Edwards and David Bailey moved closer to Teresa and Danny Silvers, and the tension is unbearable.
It's weird. It seemed like he was staking out the neighborhood, and he was the sheriff, sole appointed.
Soon, every resident of the neighborhood seems to raise Danny's ire.
Hey, what are you doing?
What's going on?
Trying to steal my truck.
He's trying to tie his shoe.
This is all your fault? These punks coming around here to see you.
He used to make the comment, it's making this area look trashy.
You're selling dope. You think I'm an idiot?
Then he thought I was the drug dealer. He thought I was Pablo Escobar.
Mind your business.
You better stop.
But Danny won't let it go.
What's going on? I need you to step outside. What the?
He called the police on me. I had probably like 6, 7 police officers pull up on my home.
Listen, I'm not a drug dealer. I'm a barber.
What?
Come in, take a look.
I was cutting hair and minding my business. I had invited police to come in my home and look how I was living, and for them to find nothing.
Sorry to have bothered you.
Aren't you gonna do anything?
There's no illegal activity going on in there.
He's dealing drugs.
That's wrong. He's only dealing haircuts.
After the police were at Quintus's house, he was so convinced that it was all lies, no way, nothing's going on over there.
You may have fooled the police, but you haven't fooled me.
He was like a dog with a bone for that poor kid.
He's lost it.
He honed in on that boy for no reason.
From Danny's perspective, he's a guy who is just trying to keep the neighborhood safe.
But according to Quinnis, he has an encounter with Danny that leaves him in fear for his life.
He pulled up on me in his truck.
What do you think you're doing?
He did have a gun at me.
Take it easy.
I was pretty spooked out.
I'm just going to the store, okay? I'm just going to the store. I was taking a shortcut.
I was trying to calm him down.
That probably scared the heck out of that poor boy. Probably made him fearful to even live there.
Now, Danny says he didn't do that.
Whether it's true or not, the story makes the rounds in the neighborhood.
It's not right. He didn't do anything wrong. I'd be afraid too.
Danny won't let anyone disrupt the peace on the street he cherishes. Jerry and David don't know how much longer they can put up with him. The whole community is in a vice grip.
Should we not have bought this house? Should we move? How should we address this?
It doesn't take long for things to reach the point of no return.
Why don't you make your lunch the night before?
There was no worries in my life at all that morning when I got up to go to work.
If you really loved me, you'd make it for me.
Shut up and go to work. You're already late.
Okay, fine.
It's a little unnerving to wonder if somebody's watching you. You know, the hair on your neck stands up. I'm alert.
Danny would typically be at home. He has a nice pickup truck. It's Texas.
You want a lift?
It's nice out. I'll walk.
I thought you were going to water the garden this morning.
I don't want to work outside while he's there. I can't be bothered. I'm going to work out back.
It's not worth it. He's not worth it. I'm just going to stay away from him. If he was home, she did the stuff in the backyard.
Danny would wash his truck, wiped it down, had the windows down so it would air out. You know, he had gone over the interior and everything. Went in the house. Jerry had come out and put the lawn sprinkler out.
Hey! Hey! Hey!
And because Danny had left the windows down, that meant it was sprinkling the inside of his truck.
Get your ass out of here! What is your problem? Are you blind? Or are you doing this on purpose?
Hey, what are you doing just putting your sprinkler out there to where it's going to be watering my truck? I mean, seriously, are you not paying attention?
What did we do now, Danny?
Look at my truck.
What about it?
He came out cussing and screaming because he got water on his truck.
You're soaking my truck!
For heaven's sakes, it won't melt.
Mom said, shut up, it's only water.
What about my truck?
Shove your truck. And you know where you can shove it.
And Jerry was telling Danny what he could do with his opinion.
Don't talk to me like that.
Don't tell me what to say.
My mom was not a happy camper. She was heated.
Shut your mouth.
Or what?
I said, one of these days, I'm gonna... All three of you.
Don't push me. Don't push me.
Jerry and Danny are both reaching their breaking point. The only question now is who will snap first.
It's like he's looking to start a fight with somebody just to cause a conflict to where he could escalate it.
Basically, The friction was making things worse and worse.
For Danny, a few drops of water is gasoline on the fire.
Danny went and he called the police.
When I came back, cops were there.
What's going on?
We get his truck wet and he calls the police on us.
That doesn't make any
I
sense.
know, officer, I don't understand.
What? Okay, something's not adding up here. Are you telling me the whole story?
Officer, I don't understand. How is that a crime? It was an accident.
It's vandalism. You got no respect for my property. Of course it's a crime.
Obviously, the cops basically told everybody to calm down.
I don't believe it is.
I'll tell you what's a crime. He threatens to kill the family. He threatens to shoot all of us, including my son.
Right, he did.
Yeah.
And he's just gonna get away with that?
I never said that.
And the cops, well, we can't do anything. He hasn't done anything. So he threatened to shoot us. He has a gun.
We wet his truck, and he calls the cops. But he threatens to kill us. And what are you gonna do about that?
He denies making any threats.
Unbelievable.
The Baileys said, hey, Danny threatened my life. But Danny said that just flat out wasn't true.
I said, well, if he does shoot, call us. I said, it's gonna be hard to do when we're dead.
I didn't say that! You're lying!
You stay away from my mother!
Everyone, calm down. Please, go home. Cool off.
They told everybody, go in your house, stay in your house.
I've lived here for 26 years. I pay taxes. I expected better from police.
That's what's frustrating, Danny. The cops aren't doing anything about this, and it's gonna be a problem. And unfortunately, that's exactly what it was gonna become.
Have a good day, and try to relax.
And they left. Okay, now I'm upset.
As the day drags on, anger and resentment only grows.
Danny was frustrated by the police response. Basically, they didn't address the issue. They didn't do anything about the fact that Jerry was encroaching on his rights as a property owner.
Oh, come on!
I am so sick of him.
She was like, oh, I can't stand it.
He's losing it. Oh, crap. I think I forgot my keys in the car.
I'll go to walk back towards the front door, and there's Annie.
What the hell, man?
What do you want from me?
I want nothing, okay? Absolutely nothing from you. Do you understand?
I said, Danny, I have nothing to say to you. Leave me the alone. We have nothing to talk about.
Well, I have something to talk to you about.
I don't care. What kind of a man are you?
But you threatened my mother. Men don't threaten women like that. The cowards do that.
Don't talk to me that way.
Don't you ever talk to me again. I thought you were a creep from day one, and it turns out I was right.
I said, you know, I already didn't care for you as it was.
So stay away from me. Stay away from my family.
You are now officially under the piece of category with me.
And if you want to threaten somebody, I dare you to threaten me.
If you want to fight with somebody so bad, I'm a grown man. If that's what you want.
You think you're man enough?
Nick went ahead and challenged Danny to a fight, which, keep in mind that Nick's, 30, 40 years younger?
Listen here, you little punk ass. I have dealt with people like you my entire life. This is my street.
Great.
You listen to me and
now what?
You do not want to open that door. Clean up your mama's
What is
mess.
going on here?
Mom, I got this.
telling Mom, just go in the house, go in the house.
Just stay away from me.
You are the one that came out here to start this fight. Now you can't handle it?
Danny, go inside. Or meet me out in the street. We can finally end
Everybody in this neighborhood, nobody respects
Nobody
you, Danny.
likes you,
You're
and you
a
watch
traitor.
from the window.
You're
Everybody
a traitor
hates
in
you.
this neighborhood, Danny.
Not what about you?
And it escalated more. It got built up more. We have lived there for 26 years, not very many problems. I never thought this kind of stuff would happen.
By the time police arrive, Nick is clinging to life. He's been shot 3 times.
You can only imagine what it feels like. I remember feeling the burn.
David has also taken 3 bullets. But Jerry suffers the brunt of Danny's fury. She has been shot 6 times.
I can't tell you how long it was laying there on the ground. I remember the lights. And I remember the cops yelling at Danny.
Hey, get on the ground! Hands up!
What was I supposed to do? You guys wouldn't help me.
Danny tells law enforcement he was forced to defend himself.
There they was, all 3 coming at me.
I'm warning you, man. If you mess with my mom, I will mess you up.
Nick, he said, I'll come over there and cut your effing head off, stuff it down your neck. I said, do not come any closer.
No, back away. You just stay away.
That's where I think things went wrong, because the Baileys started goading Danny.
You don't have the guts.
And they were saying to Danny, like, oh, big man with a gun, and basically daring Danny to do something with a gun, daring Danny to shoot him.
And I didn't know if they had a gun, a ball bat. I didn't know if they had a knife. I wasn't gonna get cut up. I wasn't gonna get hit with something. I wasn't gonna let them get that close.
I'll throw more garbage there if I want to.
When they come at me and more aggressive, hollering and cussing louder, getting loud and belligerent, all 3 of them, threatening to beat my old ass up, and saying a lot of stuff like that. And stuff I'm not going to say right now. It happened. I started shooting at him.
Daddy, why did you shoot me?
His actions, as far as what he did next, for me, really showed that his belief that he needed to defend himself was genuine.
Teresa, I shot them.
Danny, what have you done?
I shot them. They made me, Teresa.
He called his wife, and he told her, hey, the neighbors just attacked me. I had to shoot them. And he called 911.
911, where's the emergency? Halifax Court, Cedar Hill. You got 3 people down. If it's about the gunshots, we're getting units heading that way.
Well, you better get 3 ambulances out here.
The 2 sides disagree as to what happened next.
Following the shooting, Nick is briefly paralyzed. After repairs to his spinal cord, he is released from the hospital with his own version of the story to tell.
Leave my mother alone, okay? If you want to fight with somebody, you fight with me.
I was like, let's go. You have your option. We can go out there right now. We can handle this and settle it, and it'll be done. Actually, I remember is he said, the hell with this, and he pulled out his gun and started popping rounds. Mom tried to go towards the door, and David tried to go to the left. then noticed my mother was laying on the ground. And I remember grabbing the grass and dragging myself to her. All I could do is I reached for her and
Daddy! Why did you do this?
then I heard David. I could hear David, and I could hear that he was injured. So I knew at that point he had been shot. And he's yelling out at Danny, "Why did you shoot me? Why did you shoot my wife?" As I was holding my mom's hand, I heard some people call it the death rattle. I didn't know that at the time.
I remember that paramedic got over to me. I shoved him back.
Don't touch me, help my mom. Leave me the alone, help my mom.
But it's too late. Jerry is pronounced dead at the scene. Along with Nick, David survives. Danny Silvers is arrested and charged with 1 count of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault.
Danny believed that his actions, he was in the right. And so he waived his rights and told the police he did it. And, you know, he did it in self-defense.
And if Cedar Hill Police Department would have done something, this would never happen, probably.
The jury doesn't buy Danny's story. He is found guilty and sentenced to 35 years in prison.
I mean, I'm 75 here. They charged me, give me 35 years.
After her husband is incarcerated, Teresa Silvers leaves the neighborhood.
She certainly hadn't done anything wrong, but she ended up putting the house up for sale and moving out of town after this incident.
Nick also leaves Cedar Hill. David decides to stay put in his home, where tragedy finds him again.
David ended up getting a roommate. I'm not sure 100% of all the details, but this guy apparently pulled a gun on David and shot him. In the same damn house. One of the rounds completely shattered his arm in half. The guy ended up turning the gun on himself, killing himself.
This time, David succumbs to his injuries.
It may be bad, and people say, you know, you're supposed to forgive, let go, forgive. I'm sorry, I do not forgive. I have no forgiveness in my mind, body, or soul for that man.
I didn't want that to happen. I never thought in my life that I would shoot somebody like that. Man, if I could take it back, I know you can't, but by golly, it was hell. It's hell now.
I think he was his own worst nightmare, his own worst enemy. That day relives in my head every day. Every single day. I'd like to tell you that there's a day that I don't think about it. That would be such a great feeling to have that peace for a moment that it's not there. In my eyes, I lost my whole life.